So good evening and a very warm welcome to all our panelists and viewers joining us from across the globe for this unique session in the Next Architect series presented by Hindware and ETS Tech. It's my
Good
pleasure.
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's my pleasure to moderate this wonderful panel, and I'd like to thank Ria for putting this all together for this very special session in the Next Architect series. As we all know, the theme of today's discussion is about celebrating the journey each one of us have had in our respective fields, unlocking the other side of the story, which is going to be a treat for all our budding architects and designers listening to us today. Today's session will throw light on the era of professional lineage and independent practices in businesses in the A&D domain internationally and perspective across generations. Friends, I present you our today's dynamic, powerful, energetic, electric, enterprising, magnetic, young, passionate, and some really high-powered personalities, making it a great mix of wisdom and budding talent on our today's panel. Welcoming our power duos, Mr. Sandeep Sumani and Shashvat Sumani, architect Yatin Patel and Reha Patel, our very own KG Kiran Gala and architect Sonam Gala. Thank you all once again for accepting our invitation and gracing the platform with your presence. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Viraj, for having us. It's a pleasure to be back.
Pleasure. So I'm going to straight dive into our today's discussion because all our viewers are excited and they want to hear you. So I'd like to start with my first question to Mr. Sandeep Somani. So Hindware today is a household name in the country, and all of us have practically grown with the brand. You make a great example for all our new age entrepreneurs. And since the platform is about next generation and youth of our country, I'm sure viewers would love to know the other side of Mr. Somani and a sneak peek into your journey, sir. We'll all love to know your journey in life.
So tell me, what is the time frame for this?
If 6 minutes are going to be enough for you to take us through, or we can extend the session by 15-20 minutes.
No, I think it's compressing quite a number of years into 5-6 minutes, and I'll try that. So my journey began, the work journey began a long time ago when after my education, I joined my father's business in 1985. And just to put a scale of things, India was a very different country then. We were a much smaller economic entity. The world was very different then, no mobiles for all you youngsters, no fax, no email, no means of modern communication. There were some landline telephones, but they hardly worked.
Oh, I'm not a millennial. I've lived through the late 80s, so yeah, I've kind of touched that phase.
Yeah, so at that point of time, India was a very different, country as compared to what it is today. In terms of dynamism, we see an energy buzzing through India in the youth, which was, virtually absent at that point of time. There were not that many opportunities, even as a country as a whole. So anyway, I finished my degree, and then I joined my business, which had been started by my father. Just to give you a scale of things, that business, sure, in the year I joined in 1985, had a turnover of 23 crores. And it was a very small business. Good brand, but very small business. And next year, we hope to do, in spite of COVID, about 5,000 crores. So that's the scale of journey that you can see in the last 3 decades. Basically, learnings in life are very simple. I think in 5-6 minutes, you can't give your full journey. But as any youngster, I was very excited. And it was quite the norm at that time for the children to join their father's business, particularly the boys. Yeah. There was no concept of, I'll start out on my own. I'll be a young entrepreneur. I will, do these startups. The word was not coined then.
Yeah.
So, studied my father's business, learned. I was in training for about 3 years, including the plants. At that time, actually, we had only one plant. So large factory, trained there. And from early on, I realized that, we need scale, which India never really encouraged at that point of time. And there are some lessons of life which I would like to share with the people attending. First lesson of life that I have learned is that always be true to yourself. Never try and fool yourself. That never works in life. So at least if there's one person you need to be honest with, it's yourself, in whatever
Very
walk
true.
of life you are. And for all of us have a customer. Always be focused on the customer. If you want to be successful in life, always focus on the customer. And we have this DNA that we live, we grow, we survive, we prosper, all because we have been fortunate to have a set of customers who like our products, who buy our products repeatedly, who speak well of our products. So always be focused on the customer, always try and deliver more than what they expect. Early on, we differentiated ourselves from our competitors uh, by always being more innovative. We always tried to be innovative, even in a mundane category like ours, sanitware, loos, wash basins. They're certainly not sexy, as a product category.
Not
So we
not
always
now.
tried.
Not now.
Not now. Now world has changed. Now it's a place of solitude.
I think Mr. Khan holds a lot of credit in doing that.
So so always be innovative. Try and understand the needs of the consumer and try and meet them before expectation. Always be focused on quality. Give them the best that the world has to offer. Always make reliable services, products reliable, and service is very important. In the case that something goes wrong, you should always stand by the customer and make sure he or she is not inconvenienced because of your fault. And I think for a B2C company, which is what we are, it is very important to focus on your brand. Always, do things the right way, focus on the long term objectives. Do not be guided or misguided by short term results. And I think go for the long term, invest in the brand, build the brand. And as a result, because we built the brand, we invested in the brand. Today, this brand, which started in 1960, it's 60 years old, with only manufacturing facilities for sanitaryware. Today we are number one. We retain that slot for number one in sanitaryware. We are number two in faucets and showers. We have a fast growing packaging business. We have a very, very fast growing, India's fastest growing business on pipes, which we call TrueFlow. And we have been very fortunate that the consumer has accepted our various offerings. We have a large uh, business in consumer products, and we have been very fortunate. The consumers have accepted all these brand extensions, and each of these extensions have done well by themselves on a standalone basis. So to our young entrepreneurs and listeners, I would only like to say, I envy. I wish I was 30 years younger. It's such a wonderful world out there today, more competitive, but so many more opportunities than what we had in our times. And, the world is at your disposal now. When we lived in India, it was a much more restricted country, much more inward looking country. Today, you are all global citizens. You can be in any part of the world that you so want, Corona times apart. But you are world citizens. You can do what you want. Finance, which used to be the biggest problem today, the money is awash. Private equity guys, first stage investors, they're awash with money.
Yeah.
So if you have a good idea, you will get funding. So it's a great time to be young, and I wish all our friends there all the best in their journey called life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. But as they say, sir, there can only be one Hindware. There can only be one Shah Rukh Khan. So the time that you had, sir, when you started, if you were to start all over again with the same zeal, with the same enthusiasm, and build another Hindware, would that be possible? That's.
I think it's possible, uh, but it will take a lot more money, and you need to be a lot more careful because the world does not allow mistakes today. The ability to make mistakes, learn from it, and recoup it was much wider when I was much younger. And today it's very competitive. If you make a mistake, you can still recover. You make a blunder, the world will not let you recover.
You will not get a second chance in today's time.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But thank you for those words of wisdom. I'm sure it's an inspiration to everybody listening to us today. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to my next speaker, Mr. Patel, Mr. Yatin Patel. Sir, DSP today needs no introduction, and the world knows you as one of the most successful and stylish architects we have in our country. And yes, I really mean that. Would you like to take us to the other side of your story and share with all the young and aspiring architects about your glorious journey?
First of all, I'd like to tell Sandeep, yes, we're still young and we can start all over again.
True,
Good one.
True. That is true.
Good one.
It's about being young at heart.
Yeah.
Age is just a number. But yes, it's interesting times now. When I started, which was not too far away from when Sandeep did, I started in '88, and I am a first generation architect. I come from a family of doctors, actually. So I was the first one that ventured into architecture from the family. I was almost like the black sheep, but not so. But it was an interesting journey. It is an interesting journey. I've had we struggled quite a bit initially. It's always been a struggle, even today, to do good work and to do quality work and to achieve what we have. It's taken us a long way across. So just to tell you very briefly, and like Sandeep said, 5 or 6 minutes or a 3-decade journey is really not doing justice to what we've done, and all of us have achieved. So I'll try and be brief. I started on my own as a single person in a 200 square feet office by myself, and then from there we just went on and grew. We started in Mumbai and started doing projects. The first one that came in was for a celebrity. That was for Sunil Shetty. He was a dear friend of ours, and he said, you need to do work for me. And, there's one project after the other, and we did 3 or 4 projects. And then by word of mouth, I started getting many more projects. And then we landed up with our first commercial project, and then we finally culminated into doing work for the Reliance Group. And that was our first corporate interior project. At that time, we called it big. It was all of 5,000 square feet, and we thought, wow, this is a big project that has come on to for us to do. But from then on, we went on to ride the software boom. So we started working for technology companies. And right from the domestic companies to all the multinational companies. And the year 2000, the Y2K, if some of you all were born then, I don't know how many, but that we rode that problem, so to say, problem. It wasn't a problem for us at all, but Y2K did good for us. And while we were already working for a lot of technology companies, there was this impetus of all the technology companies to set up and work out a solution for Y2K. So that took us to various locations. And if you see other locations of offices that we have and studios that we have, you'll realize that it's the software industry that took us there. So we started off in Mumbai, then went to Bangalore because our customers told us, we're setting up offices there, so why don't you also come and do work with us there locally. So we started off with Mumbai, then Bangalore, and came back to Pune, which became the technology hub as well. Then went back to Hyderabad, and then Gurgaon as well. So over 30 years, every 3 years we've had, at an average, we've had for every 3 years some kind of a development or something new that we've done at the firm. So it's either a new location. We have 5 in India. 2 in Bangalore, 1 in Hyderabad, and 1 in Pune. So and one in Singapore. So that's 6 different locations that we've added on to the firm. And not only that, we've also then started adding on services, our offerings that we give to our customers, starting with the corporate interiors that we got into. Then we started doing, for a number of years as an architect, nobody really took us seriously to give you an entire building or a campus to design. So it took us about 10 years, I think, before we got our first campus, IT campus to design as an architecture project. We were doing interiors, we were doing large scale interiors by then. In the year 2000, we were already doing projects of the size of 200,000 square feet. But we hadn't got around to doing a building, a large building at then. But 10 years on, we started doing corporate architecture. So that was something big that we started doing. And we then went on to design many campuses for the technology firms. And then we said that we ingrained the culture of the corporates, and we kind of corporatized our studio and the firm. So we didn't want to work with the regular developers at that point of time. At that point of time, India, and Mr. Sandeep would know that, it was a owner-led kind of organizations that were prevalent in the market. So we said we tend not to go in that route. But then we said it is becoming more and more organized. So the developers started becoming more like corporates and operating like corporates. And then we said it's too big a pie for us to ignore. And then we jumped into that. We dived into that league. We started working with developers, and for over 2 decades now, we're working with just the A grade, A category of the developers that behave like corporates and perform and work like corporates. So that's been our journey with the corporate. So we started doing work with the developers. And then from commercial architecture, we also started doing high density, large scale residential development. So some of the marquee projects in Mumbai and all across the country, we've been part of that. So to name a few, Omkar 1973, which are some of the really tall buildings and high rises in Mumbai and across the country are designed by us. And we've worked on some of those large projects now. Then we went on to add another vertical, not just a vertical, but we said there was a huge impetus of education and healthcare in India about 10 years back. So we got into a partnership with a firm called FNI out of the US, which are specialists in education design, and incorporated EDA, which is Education Design Architects in India 10 years ago, that purely does design for education. So it's a specialized firm that we have now that just concentrates on education design. And we started with the intention of doing schools in the subcontinent. But today we've got schools that we are designing and designed in Singapore, Nepal, Bangladesh, Brussels, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and across the globe. Wow. So that's been fairly successful at that. That's another vertical that we started. The other thing that we then started is, and this was 2 years back, that we got into another partnership with Intelligent Buildings out of USA. They're a North Carolina-based firm with 60 people just doing vendor agnostic consultation for smart building technologies. Now, if I had not told you that we did this 2 years back, you would have said this is an outcome of the pandemic. But yes, the pandemic has been a catalyst for us in terms of a lot of people embracing technology and wanting technology imbibed in their buildings today. So that's been a huge uptick for us as well in terms of smart building technologies and consultation that we do for our customers and clients. And this is good for all the evolved customers that have larger campuses and for larger developments where commercial developments especially, uh, where at a larger, bigger scale it can act extremely well to economize and optimize spaces and economize on all the services that are being designed. So that's the other vertical that we started. And then again, a couple of years back, we also became partners with the One Global Design Fraternity. That's a coming together of 21 different architectural practices across the globe. 18 of them out of Americas, one in the UK that takes care of EMEA, and us out of India that are exclusive partners for India and Southeast Asia. There's one in Canada as well. So apart from the 300 people that we are today at DSP in our Indian firm, in our Indian studios, we now collectively with One Global Design have a resource base of over 1,600 people. And that's a huge base now. And the one thread that ties all of us together is that we are all owner-led firms. And, we could have, I'm not going to take names, but larger architectural firms across the globe. As a customer, you would say that I've appointed, top ranked firm. But the service that you would get is you'll get a team which is team C or D or E or F, and you probably would never meet the owner. But with this partnership, it's always an owner-led firm that will be servicing you. So the attention and the care that is taken and details that are given and attention to details and customer care, like Sandeep was mentioning, pay attention to that, and servicing of a client is at the top of it.
Absolutely.
So that's a great achievement that we did in that. One other proud thing, the last bit I'll say, and I don't know if I've overshot my time, I'm sure I have, but we're also now for the last 6 years on the list of the top 100 architectural firms globally. So 6 years back, we were 82nd. And now in 2020, we are 53rd in the top 100 global architectural firms.
Oh, super, Yatin.
In terms of interiors, again, for world interiors, the top 100, that's called the Giants list. We are 35th on that list. So those are two great rankings that we have at a global level.
Wow, that's quite a journey, and I think
so. And we are proud now to say that we're truly Indian-born global company.
Global, completely wonderful, sir. I think that's amazing. I think I'm sure it's been a great journey. And I think it's fantastic. The scope and the scale at which I think DSP as a firm, and I completely agree. Having ownership-driven approach always works. Unless you don't give your team the sense of ownership, it becomes extreme. So I completely stand by approach. In fact, I have personally grown in a setup which has been completely ownership-driven setup. Completely. The way ASTEC as an exhibition has grown in the last 15 years, completely. Mr. Gandhi has always given that hand. He's given that freedom for the entire team. So I completely buy your point. Moving on to our next speaker, our very own Kiran Gala, KG. There are many achievements which we can speak, which you have, but above all, you're a great human being. And one of the most loved architects in the entire fraternity, which I can really say, you're one of the most loved personalities in the industry.
Thanks, Viraj.
And I mean it. The kind of motivation, constant force of motivation you've been for people around you and for the entire team. I think kudos to that. So a little bit about your journey, about how you put it together, and maybe one of your first memorable projects. If you can share how it started and how it all happened.
Viraj, first of all, now after the talk of Yatin, anyone would feel something like gets like really like inferiority complex. The kind of what Yatin is on the level, and we really feel proud of it. Yatin, that's fantastic journey, and really cheers to you. But what as an as an a designer, we are like very much small compared to all that. But we realize there is a one very niche segment all across the world, I believe. Like what our clientele, we realize that they really need very personalized service, very personalized attention to the procurement of everything, discuss discuss a detailed discuss to their last requirement, their thought process, and how's their lifestyle which can be really elevated to the next level. So here we are for them. And we felt that because originally I am a commerce graduate, I'm not a student from the design fraternity, and as entire our family is very much like in the business of trading and manufacturing of textile and everything. So I was the only one, like Yatin said, and just had really a natural flair for the design and for something like a luxury. And from there we started journey about 35 years back, and very small, just about say someone's offices and someone's small boutique showrooms. We started in Mumbai, but the best part what happened too was we were lucky enough immediately to catch up across India. Very good sizes of the houses which were built say about 25, 30 years back with the kind of say 12,000, 15,000, even 20,000 square feet houses across, like somewhere in Chennai, somewhere in Kanpur, somewhere in Hubli, somewhere in like Nagpur, Pune, all these areas which were two-tier cities. And there were very few people were approaching, and there were no people really, or the no proper designer. And we really got in their contact, and they really were very much fascinated with the work. And we got the space, we got the volume. And throughout India, we know one thing, that anywhere, if a Mumbai architect is going or a designer who is going there, they are very well respected because of their professionalism, their attitude, and their real knowledge about the world, whether it may be a material, whether it may be the design sense or anything. And there we stand, and today we are here. The one house which I really would like to say we made something about 5 years back, and that was amazing house in Delhi, say about 35,000 square feet house with kind of no budget, the bestest of the best. They had asked us to get it, and we were allowed to travel anywhere to get, design, and execute the entire project with our anything on the planet that we wished for or we thought of. And that was fantastic turnout of the project, and everyone till now they cherishing, and we still cherishing that house. Any case, anytime, we just remember that house.
Where is this, sir, in Delhi?
That's in Vasant Vihar. That's very much its name, known by the name of Omkara. If anyone goes to Delhi, that's very much prominent space. Anyone can just notify that's a amazing house. So, yeah.
I believe Sonam recently spoke about it in her article in AD on Father's Day. I think she referred to the same project, if I'm not wrong.
Sonam? Yes, she
Yes,
did.
yes, she did. She did.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of us architects would love to have a customer like that.
Yeah. it's really, yeah. Until now, we are lucky enough always to get on this kind of that they really want. In India, we definitely see there is never a lack of finance or the funding for a private home when it comes for the really the top brass, top niche clientele across India, and they really want something crazy, something very unique thing. And I'm really proud that KGA, our team, and next on the line, my daughter Sonam, we are always ready to fulfill their dreams.
Lovely.
Sonam, what say?
Yeah, I agree.
Lovely. But I completely agree. I think India, I think bigger money lies in all tier three pockets. The kind of investment which people are making in their even second homes is phenomenal. Even in this side of
Yes,
the country, even in Maharashtra, if you go to see the kind of investment people are making in and around Bombay, it's crazy. It's insane.
very true. Very true.
So moving on, sir, thank you so much for that wonderful quick walkthrough, and I'm sure Sonam will highlight on the project which I think you've opened a discussion. Uh, I want to start this section with Sonam. So, firstly, Sonam, welcome aboard on the
Hi.
platform. This next architect,
Hi, thank you for having us and me
great fun.
especially.
Ria has been a great support.
Yes,
And we
thank
had
you.
great fun curating the entire series. So, like I was talking to KG about your recent article. I went through the whole thing and I read about how you started off and how your initial days you used to see dads, the office in garage, and how really you came so the architecture design came so natural to you. So I want you to tell us how something about your recent achievements, because you mentioned that there are few independent projects that you did in London recently. So take us through how what's your scope of work and how you see yourself in the next couple of years.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. I think you've given it well. Yeah, so as a child, I would be seeing my dad finishing all the sites, and you know how the site handover phase is the last 3 4 days. You're just on the site, and food is sent over there. You're working till like 12 in the night, and then next day is probably the handover. So we used to usually, I used to go there with my mom as a child and see all of these fascinating things and these people finishing things, painting the walls. It was really, really fascinating. And then you know how you make blocks on the plan. So anyway, so then after school activity was that I would be going in the garage and I would be sketching things and showing dad about some new plan that I made of some house. But anyway, that was just all imagination. But it was never a question in my head that you know I want to be someone else, I think. And I was like, no, I think there's no question about this. And I pursued my design. I finished my master's. I worked under a couple of architects to get a lot of experience. Because honestly, working with your own father, you either get spoiled or you probably don't get that recognition unless he recognizes you that you have something in you. I think that will be like, I think probably everyone would be good. The second generation kids would be feeling the same thing. So yeah, so I worked under Nozo, I was working under Netarwala, and then yeah, then I started joining Dad as one of the employees. I didn't even have a seat. I had a laptop, and I slowly, slowly, after like I think 8 years, I got a cabin finally. So I think it says that I think he's pretty proud of me to even give me that. It was good. Obviously, my
No, no,
salary
that's
didn't get cut with holidays. Thank God for that. But other than that, I think I was one of those normal employees in the office, which is really great because I learned a lot when you start from the bottom. You're treated as one of those, so it's quite a good experience, honestly. And then after all these years, I think I mean, I still obviously discuss all my projects with him, and after his go ahead is what I go forward. So these two fantastic achievements, what I've got right now at a very young age, is that I finished 2 apartments in London, and he wouldn't be he wouldn't be coming to London. I think he saw the finished project, and then when he saw it, and I was really nervous as to how is he going to like it, because he did know the planning and all of that. I would show him all the swatches and everything, but the day he saw it, I think he wrote a letter for me. It felt really good, and I get that confidence after all of his confidence that he's showing in me, so that I know that I'm a good designer. At least I've got good blood, his blood in my blood. So I think I'm pretty happy.
Yes, you are.
lovely, Sonam. I think you certainly have a very long way to go, and we wish you all the best. All
Thank you. Thank you.
that brings me to architect Reha Patel. Reha, welcome to the show. It's always Ria and I who normally do most of the talking.
Gopi.
So
Gopi.
welcome to the show. How does it feel joining us from New York?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me, Viraj.
It's really amazing to see Ria and you both, taking it completely out of your comfort zone, having such an established practice of your father in here. But it's kudos to you and Ria completely for changing the entire pattern, because whenever I speak to Ria, even she tells me, that this is what I want to do. I didn't want to be in India. This is what I want to do. So It's absolutely great. It feels wonderful to talk to somebody like you who's kind of going against the tide and trying to create a niche for yourself and do something which creates a mark for yourself. So tell us something about how architecture is different in there, and what difference you feel as an architect, working in New York vis-a-vis if you would be with your father in here in India. What are
Yeah,
your
so
learnings?
yeah, so like dad obviously is still always like my mentor, and he's still someone I always look up to, but he's also been someone who always wanted us to like foster our own interests and our own passion. So a lot about being in New York is about that, it's about finding our own individual and independent styles in this city, because like the city is so great. It's like so fast paced. You're constantly at like the epicenter of growth, and like there's so much great architecture around you, and there's so much to learn from so many of these different cultures that are there, and we constantly get to work with people from like different cultures in different parts of the world. And I think that's so important, because at the end of the day, architecture is about the people that and like just learning about those people is just great, and it helps us so much. And in New York, I studied here, and I've been here for over 6 years now, so just like applying all of that practical and technological knowledge that we've got from our college, and like working here, like I've got the opportunity to work at a couple of like international firms. Most recently I've worked at Woods Bagot. Like it's allowed me to work on projects like all over the world. I've worked on to name one, I've worked on like the extension of JFK's Terminal 4, and that's a project of such a big scale, and it's such a well-known like airport. So I don't think I would have got that opportunity at such a junior level to be a part of that project. And, in saying that, I still have got the opportunity at Woods Bagot. Like I've worked on a project in Mumbai itself. I worked on Oberoi's, the Gurgaon project, which was also a 1.5 billion square feet commercial high-rise complex tower. And so being in New York, although I have learned so much and I'm getting the opportunity to work on like so many international projects, at the same time I am getting opportunities to work and use that practical knowledge that I've got in India as well. And it's actually ironic because dad actually now is doing the interior for that commercial project by Oberoi. He's doing it for Morgan Stanley. So it's great to see that there can be connections between, like the knowledge I'm getting here and how I can apply and help that in India itself. And so it's just been a great journey, and I'm really enjoying this exposure that I'm getting here. And just seeing how dad also took his firm, I want to see how I can also emulate some of that and take that to another level out here in like New York.
Wonderful, Rhea. Wonderful. I think kudos and I think all the best. You have a glorious, glorious journey as your dad. All the best.
Thank you.
Moving on to another fresh talent, the third generation of the Hindware family, Shashvat Sumani, who's recently joined the business. So Shashwat on the other side today. I think I'm quizzing the quiz master today.
Good to be here.
So our viewers have heard you speak in the last few sessions, and they know quite a bit about you. I personally feel your passion for detailing is something which I really, really want to appreciate. The kind of eye you have for every detail, it's something which I've observed in the last few sessions that we've done.
Thank you.
So I every time I speak to next generation, I always wonder the baggage and the expectation one kind of carries when one enters the system against the benchmarks which are already set in the organization. How does one really what kind of process or mindset one enters the system into, and what do you feel coming straight to my question, in fact, where do you see which areas of business in Hindware do you want to focus on in the next 5 years, and where do you see yourself in the next 5 years in Hindware?
Perfect. Well, again, thank you for your kind words. I do try my best to, go over all the details, because over these years, I've learned that even the tiniest detail can make a huge difference. So I try to do that. And to be honest, it's in my blood. I think my grandfather and my father are the most perfectionist people you'll ever meet. So
he was rocking at 83 in the last session, and even at ACE Tech every year Whenever I've met him, I think he's been spectacular.
Yeah, he is. He is. And my father as well. So I'm lucky to have them. And going to your comments about, being a third generational, leader of the family business, it's a question that, even as a child throughout my teenage years, even when I was in college, it's a question that I thought about a lot myself as well. Questions like, how will I navigate the company? How will I position myself with all the employees and all the stakeholders? What will be expected of me, and how will I live up to this legacy per se?
Absolutely.
And I think what really helped me through all of answering all these existential questions was introspection. I spent a lot of time maintaining I maintain a daily journal, and I just put down my thoughts, and these are both professional as well as personal. And then once a month I'll just review what my thoughts have been. And what that has allowed me, it's given me an ability to really be cognizant of my traits and skills and my approach in my professional life. So that's helped me, track the areas where I feel I have a strong foundation, as well as the areas I need to improve. And then I just try to improve a little bit every day. But that's really made me aware of my approach and how I am as a leader. And as as a third generation leader, what I've recognized pretty early is, I don't have to do things exactly the way my grandfather or my father have done those things. So I try to, I don't try to emulate my father or my grandfather anyway. I just try to learn from their abilities and then adapt it to my style of leadership. Um, and for anyone who is a second generation or third generation leader, I would recommend doing the same. Don't try to copy, your parents or your grandparents. Really try to shape your own path. And moving on to your question about Hindware for the next 5 years, I'm extremely ambitious, and I truly believe that although Hindware right now is a 60-year-old brand, I really think our journey has just started. And over the next 5 to 10 years, I have three main pillars that I'll be spearheading. Those three are unifying the Hindware business, digital transformation, and taking Hindware to the global stage. Well, let me quickly talk about each three. The first one, which is unifying the Hindware business. So my dad very briefly mentioned that, we have really evolved from just a sanitary ware company from 60 years ago. We are the leading sanitary ware brand, and also the second largest manufacturer of faucets in India, with the combined revenue of 1,000 crores plus. But we've also entered three new businesses. Just to reiterate, those are consumer products, pipes, and packaging. And a consumer products business, which is under the name of Hindware Appliances, manufactures state-of-the-art kitchen ensembles under the name of Hindware Kitchen Ensembles, water heaters, water purifiers, air coolers, air purifiers, and it's a true innovator with over 26 patents across our products. To quickly touch upon our pipes business, we launched in 2019, making PVC, UPVC, and CPVC pipes under the name of TrueFlow. And this was just a natural extension of our expertise in the bathroom space. Our manufacturing facility in Telangana was the first ever pipes plant to receive a platinum rated green certificate for certificate factory building. And that's also projected to be over 1,000 crores over the next 3 years. And lastly, we manufacture high quality glass containers to meet the needs of food, pharmaceuticals, soft drinks, beverages, etc. And that has over 3,000 employees, and that also has about 1,300 crores in revenue. So you can see how diverse our business is. And it's like, how do you connect the dots? Like, each business is very, very different in its nature. So the first pillar I really want to spearhead is to unify these businesses. I want to, create, my father's done a fantastic job of setting up these businesses to a 5,000 crore company. But as I stated earlier, it's just started for us for these businesses. I like to think of it as like a well-oiled machine with all these businesses at different parts. So how do I get all these parts to work together and work cohesively? So my focus for the next couple of years would be to take the learnings of each business and apply it to all the other businesses to make sure that we're as efficient and agile as possible. Now, the second pillar I would like to talk about is digital transformation. I'm a millennial. I can't not talk about digital. And I think Hindware has always had the newest and latest technologies. But the COVID-19 pandemic has really taught us to push the limits even further. So I really want to work on, on technology, not just at a process level, but also at a product level throughout all our businesses. And as I said, the COVID-19 pandemic has really pushed that trend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've been lucky. I think it's helped us reevaluate that what is actually relevant. How do we stay relevant? So in the last couple of months, we've launched, we've invested heavily in technology and innovation. We've created a water closet that does not require a cistern. We've created an air cooler that can be collapsed and is the first of its kind in the world and is stored away in the winters. We've created auto clean chimneys. We've created a range of IoT products, and we've even created a door handle that you can open with a specialized metal that will prevent the ability of COVID-19 to spread on the surface. So that's just the beginning for us. And I can promise you that over the next 3 to 5 years, we'll be launching a lot more interesting products.
I'm sure.
And lastly, I would like to talk about taking Hindware to the global stage. As you mentioned, we have evolved into a household name in India. And I'm really proud and privileged to be part of this organization. And I think it's due to the efforts of my grandfather, my father, the management, all the stakeholders, consumers, the employees, that we are where we are today. But as I said, I'm very ambitious. I see Hindware growing into a global brand. And I think the COVID-19 pandemic, again, is only going to increase demand for Indian products and Indian brands. And I truly see Hindware being a part of that and hopefully increasing our global presence over the next 5 years. But yeah, that's about it. We have an exciting future ahead, and this is just a little bit of what we are doing. It's just a drop in the ocean. And I'll promise that we'll continue to innovate and manufacture the best in class products. And together with everyone, our architects, our influencers, our consumers, we have many, many more milestones to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shashvat. I think very, very well put across. Thank you so much, and we wish you a great, great journey and a glorious, successful one.
Thank you.
So moving on, I'm going to move to my next section, which is going to be very quick. We have about 15 odd questions. It's supposed to be a rapid fire, and the duos remain the same as we have. Sandeep ji, Shashvat, you all are one team. Sonam, KG, and obviously. So you can raise your hand if you have the answer. In case if you give the wrong answer, it gets passed on to the next duo, and that's how we're going to go about it. So are we ready?
Ready?
Yes, fantastic.
I've tried my best not to keep it completely architecture based. We've popped in some general questions, so let's see how it goes.
Cool.
So my first question: in which city you will find the Blue Mosque? Yes, KG. Yes.
Istanbul.
Absolutely. There you go. Istanbul is the right answer. Is also known as Sultan Ahmed Mosque, which was constructed in the early 1600 under the rule of Ahmed. Absolutely. Next question. This is going to be a very, very quick one. I'm sure. So which city is known as the city of love?
Paris. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows.
Okay, Ashraf, my team will have to help me. I'm who raised his hand first? Was it Shashvat, or was it Sonam, or was it Reha?
I think I did.
I think I did.
I think we'll have to divide the points to everyone.
I think we all know the answer. One of you.
Yes. Yeah. So this point goes to everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So one of y'all can give out the answer.
Paris.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gave the answer first in the second round.
So you think there is a trip for you to go to the Paris?
I just hope this phase gets over and we all are able to move out. It's these pictures just trouble you all the more because you go back to your vacations.
Yeah.
Moving on to my next question. Name any three wonders of the world. Okay, that's Mr. Patel. Yes.
Taj Mahal,
Yes.
Great Wall of China.
Yes.
Rhea, you want to go for a third one?
Colosseum, Roman Colosseum.
Yes. Yes. Great Wall of China, Christ of Redeemer, Machu Picchu, Roman Colosseum, Taj, Petra. Absolutely. So, moving on. You have to guess the person now. Born in 1927, he is considered to be an important figure in the world of modernist architecture and noted for his contributions to the evolution of architecture discourse in India. In 2018, he became the first Indian architect to receive the Pritzker Architecture Prize. Yes, yes,
Balkrishna Doshi. Balkrishna Doshi.
goes to KG. Yes, B.V. Doshi, Balkrishna Vittaldas Joshi.
Doshi it is, not Joshi.
Doshi. Doshi.
PV Doshi, yeah.
B.V. Doshi, yeah. This
I know
is
the answer to this.
Yeah. The Somani's
And
brothers.
Viraj, you don't see this side. So even when my hand goes up, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Ashraf.
It was Mr.
Ashraf, you're
Somani.
not
Four-
being, you're not being fair. You're not being.
No. This one was Mr. Somani.
Okay, sir.
As soon as the question came up, his hand was up.
I knew this.
Yeah.
Which Somani was
Tractors
it?
is the answer.
Yes. Farm tractor. It was
Yeah.
established in 1948 and then went on to become the Lamborghini automobile in 1973. Absolutely.
Great.
Interesting.
Super.
Yeah.
Next section is a multiple choice question. I'm going to read out the question. Certain questions you'll see the picture and the options. Yeah. So this famous Art Deco style skyscraper in this photo stands proudly at 1,046 feet. What's the name of this profile?
Chrysler.
Yes, Ashraf, you'll have to help me.
Yeah, it's a Chrysler building.
Chrysler, yes. It's Chrysler.
I saw Mr. Patel's hand first, so
Yeah.
I would give it to Mr. Patel.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so this one goes to Mr. Patel. Done. So the Chrysler.
Okay, now let's make it quite interesting. The panelists would be able to answer only after the four options are given. Let's make it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
So moving on to our next question. In which country did the academic architectural style Beaux-Arts originate? Belgium, Sweden, France, China. Yes, Ashraf, you have
Reha.
Yeah.
Reha. Yes, Reha. Go ahead.
France.
Absolutely. France got this academic style. It was taught in Paris, which incorporated Gothic elements and used modern materials such as glass and iron. It was an important style until the end of 19th century in France, and then it had a great influence even in architecture in the United States. Moving on, which New York building was the tallest building in the world in 1940?
Rhea, this you have to know.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, Ria.
Empire State.
Yes, it was the Empire State Building. It was built in 1930s, derived its name Empire State, which is the nickname of the city of New York. So, Ria, you had to get this one.
Yeah.
Moving on, where was the first skyscraper built?
I know the answer to that.
Ashraf, was it Mr. Somani or it was Reha?
I saw Reha's hand up. I'm sorry, Mr. Somani. I think it was just a matter of seconds.
Yes, Reha, go ahead.
Chicago.
Yeah.
It was the home insurance building in 1885 in Chicago, which went down in history as the first skyscraper. Yes. Which architecture style is reflected in Paris Notre Dame Cathedral? Gothic. Reha knows. I have not shared the questions with Reha for just it's getting
This one,
these
this
are
one is Mr.
Even Riya is not aware of the questions. Yeah.
This one is Mr. Somani.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mr.
So
Somani,
it's Gothic.
for you.
Gothic. Absolutely, it's Gothic. Which country is this? It's a famous Instagram post. People, it's the most Instagrammable picture which you'll see. I'll give a small hint. It's very close to one of the answers which were given in the first few questions.
Where are the options?
Where the option should come, no?
Ashraf, can we
Exactly. Exactly, Yatin bhai.
Norway, France, Australia, Croatia. Yes,
I got it.
Questions I raised first, I think, this
Okay.
time.
yes,
Dad,
sir.
get it right. Get it right, Dad.
Is this Croatia?
Croatia, yes.
This
Well
is
done.
Croatia. Dubrovnik.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We went there last summer, Dad and I. Good times.
Yeah, you remember our Dubrovnik trip?
Yeah.
It's not really a the next picture is pretty obvious where you see the wall. I purposely didn't want to put that as the first picture because that was very easy to guess. So yeah, so moving on to the next question. Where in Asia you'll find this famous place? Ashraf, yeah. The options are Indonesia, Ethiopia, Nepal, Mexico.
Shashvat, do you want to go for it? I saw
Can you
your
put the
hand
options
raised.
again?
It's
Why is-
Indonesia.
It's Nepal. It's
Yeah.
Nepal.
No, sir, wrong. Nepal is not the right.
Indonesia.
Yes.
Is it Indonesia?
Indonesia is the right answer. Situated at 7,600 feet as Mount Bromo, is not only the tallest
Okay.
Indonesian active volcanoes, but it's obviously the most visited site in Indonesia. It's Indonesia.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm sure our architect friends will
Me, I can go for
Yeah,
it.
I know the answer to this.
Yes,
Of
yes,
course.
Ashraf, it was Mr. Somani or Mr. Patel.
Mr. Patel.
Okay.
Patel.
Renzo Piano.
The
Renzo.
Italian architect who constructed Shard, which is currently the tallest in UK and sixth tallest building in Europe.
Yes, it's Renzo Piano.
Renzo Piano. Coming back to our country, question. So which of these Indian cities has the maximum number of historic monuments? Calcutta, Mumbai, Delhi, Jaipur.
Delhi.
I would say so.
I expected the Delhi team to get this. It's
I was
Delhi.
confused.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Delhi has 17 historic monuments, making it the only city with largest number of structures of historic importance and significance. 17. Another question. Which the architecture in the city of Cochin in Kerala reflects the influence of British, Portuguese, Dutch, all of the above?
I'm gonna go with a.
Yes, Ashraf, you'll have to help me. You'll have to. I think it was Shashwat. I saw his hand first.
Yes.
I feel like this is one of those trick questions, and hence it's all of the above.
It is all of the above.
It's actually the right answer. It's a mix of everything. Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, which of the following is the oldest stone structures in India? Your options are the Taj Mahal, the Qutub Minar, the Red Fort, and the Sanchi.
I think you got the picture of the Qutub Minar wrong.
It's Sachi.
Sanchi.
Sanchi, yes.
Yeah.
Sanchi is the answer. It's in MP and it's the World Heritage Site commissioned by Emperor Ashoka in 3rd century BC. Okay, we have Ashraf. Okay, this is.
Everybody knows this.
Everyone
Jawaharlal
knows.
Nehru.
I wanted to end on a little more patriotic note. So You get goosebumps whenever you kind of hear this. At the stroke of midnight, when the world sleeps, India awakes to life and freedom. And it was
Jawaharlal Nehru.
absolutely
Absolutely.
Jawaharlal Nehru. So that's our section. Hope it was fun and it was quick. And
Yeah.
Ashraf, you can tell us, I think, who's leading.
I think it's Rhea, right?
Yeah, I think she. Even I can.
Yes.
First section.
Yes.
Hey,
Cheers.
I should get
Cheers.
some credit for
Good.
it as well, right?
It's a team effort, sir. It's a team
Absolutely.
effort, definitely.
Okay.
Lovely. That was fun. That was nice. On a closing note, I want our next generation stars to talk about something which you really feel has left a very huge impact in your growing days. One striking memory, a professional memory, which you feel has changed the course of your career. Uh, it could be anything, which it could be something with regards to a milestone which as a group y'all have achieved, or something regarding a particular project where you as a kid were kind of involved. Anything which really which hits you right now, which left a huge impact. So I think we can start with Shashwat and then move to, or we can start with Sonam.
Anything.
Sonam, we'll start with you. Bolo.
Okay, I need to think. Give me 2 minutes.
I
Okay,
think Shashwat can start. Shashwat can
Yeah,
start.
I can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, growing up, obviously, you know how us boys are generally, in school also, Hindware, school mein Hindware bathroom. So, we always a little bit of banter with my friends and stuff. And growing up, I always thought, I wanted to do something in Hindware, but in my teenage years and early years, I always wanted to sort of diversify and do something that's more consumer facing, a little bit more tech oriented. And I remember the first meeting I attended with dad and granddad, as well as other, high leadership. And I came into that meeting thinking, and I'm turning 23. I don't really, want to make pots for a living. But I exit that meeting was just fantastic, because I realized that it's got nothing to do, business has got nothing to do with what you're manufacturing, or, anything like that. It's what happens at the back end. It's about all the organization, building a team, all the processes that you have. And just in those 2 hours, my mind was just blown away as to how much can be done there. And that's when I knew that, this is what I want to do.
Wow.
Good one.
Wow. Yes, Sonam, are you ready, or should we move to Reha?
No, yeah, I think I'm sort of ready. Okay, so the one thing that really impacted dad and my relationship as a duo, working together, is this particular site that we did in Ahmedabad, and we did the whole architecture and interiors. I think it was the first time where we actually did something different from what we were originally doing, and that was my first step in the company. I think it turned out really well, as a, like the first start of our company. But it gave us a lot of boost. It gave me a lot of confidence again, because we understood that we could probably go ahead. None of us are architects, neither is dad, and neither am I. Although my younger brother is an architect now. But anyway, so he's got too many years to come forth. But I think we did quite a good job. And something for us to look forward to is this another bungalow that we'll be doing in Delhi. It's basically a farmhouse. It's quite huge. The clients are really good, interesting. Again, a lot of lovely art pieces, as we spoke about art at the initial conversation. So I think there will be a couple of more other challenges ahead, which I think I really want to. I'm waiting for it, and maybe speak about that great impact that might happen later. Because honestly, till now, it's been a really good journey with him being my backbone and my mentor, and yeah, teaching me a lot of things. And I'm sure I teach him a little bit here and there, but I think, yeah.
Yes.
I think
We have to learn lot many things from younger generation.
No, I think it's about how passionate you feel towards your work. Look at Jimmy Mistry. I think he's a great
Yeah.
example of somebody who's not a qualified architect, but the
Yeah.
scale and the scope, it's phenomenal. I think whenever
Yeah.
I talk to him, we get into a conversation. It's
Yeah.
amazing the kind of knowledge he imparts. So kudos, all the best, Sonam.
Thank you.
Yes, Reha, New Yorker.
So I don't think there's one particular moment exactly that like made me get into this profession, but I think like dad always just like growing up on all of our travels or like whenever like he would just like make us like see everything with so much detail, and he would make us really have a passion to just like take in wherever we are and everything around us. And like even just like building our Alibag house where he is right now, it was like, it's grown over like so many years, and it's constantly like extended upon, and he's constantly like building on it and growing it. So we've always been a part of that, and it's always been something we've grown up seeing and like helping out, and like seeing the journey of that itself was something like the design process and it being constructed and built and constantly grown. It's been like great, and it's definitely influenced like the way we think.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's still being built, yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's ongoing always.
It never stops.
Ongoing. Never
Yeah.
stop.
So we have one interesting question from the audience. If it's of course architecture based question. As an architect, if we were to start, if the person is asking if I was to start now, what should I focus on? Anything that as an architect I should be working on in the next 2 years, considering the situation, considering COVID, which will give me that traction, which will give me that head start. As an architect, what he should be focusing on?
Technology. Focus on technology. Focus on smart building technology for sure. Not just because of COVID, because the world is changing. The world has been changing anyways, right from the millennials to Gen Zs. Uh, we've been propagating that for a number of years, and the COVID situation is just been a catalyst for that. But going forward, there's going to be a huge impetus for smarter products, smarter buildings, smarter cities. So technology is going to be a huge influencer in everything, in the way we live, in all our lives, for everything, for all the products. So I would say for any youngster,
Absolutely.
it's a no-brainer, and the younger generation is more adapt to change and can embrace technology faster than us older, not so old, but some of us.
We opened the session when you said I think everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's a just number game.
it's a number
Yeah,
game.
it is
So
a number.
Yatin, you'll have to leave aside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but look at it this way. I started
Yeah, I know. I
smart
agree to
building
you.
technologies only 2 years back, but so I still have a huge way to go, and I'm all ready for it. So it's like the beginning of a new journey from here.
Absolutely. Any closing words, KG? So anything? Yes.
Yes. I really appreciate the time and sincere thoughts and really a journey of their life given by Mr. Somaniji. And his last word, really, I value that. This world nowadays, they will not give you a second chance. Don't think of or don't try anything of doing any small mistake. Try hardest as much not to commit any mistakes. And once I heard Reza Kabul to say very interesting punchline that we are not doctors. Doctors' mistakes buries with the body, and architects' mistakes will be seen always. It will be the highlight.
Absolutely.
Yes. So don't everyone focus more on to work. Keep just focusing on your work and do more creative job. Fantastic session, Viraj, and everyone on the panel, Yatin, Riha, and Shashvat and Somani ji.
Thank
Fantastic.
you.
And all the audience for being there. Really wonderful session. Thanks, Viraj, for
Thank you.
really doing fantastic job.
Pleasure. Always talking to you. Always having you around. Yes, sir. Sir, any closing notes from you, sir?
No, I'm fine. I think a very good session. I hope people found it useful and productive. So
Absolutely.
all the best.
I really feel, I think it was a well balanced, I think, session with the next generation giving their views. And I think obviously I've been hearing KG, been hearing Mr. Patel, and of course whatever interaction I've had with you a little bit in the last few years. I think thank you so much. You all have been great support to the platform. Thank you so much. And looking forward to see each other in our offices very soon. I think Sir KG is already out. He's man on the job already in Delhi, taking flights left, right, and center. Soon, I think we all will resume to our duties, and the world restores normalcy to a better world, to a better 2021.
Sure.
On that note,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank
See you.
Super.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Thanks, thanks,
Thank you.
Viraj.
Bye.
But we still have a couple of months left in this year.
Yeah.
We still have a couple of months, and on a closing note, we have our first virtual event happening next month on 6th and 7th of November. It's a 2-day show. All of you, I think the invites have gone out. All of you are part of it. So looking forward to seeing you out there. It's a 2-day show with some really great participants, about 25-30 odd brands making some really nice innovative product presentations. So looking forward.
Fantastic.
Really
All the
good.
best to you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best, and thanks, Viraj.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.